Good morning, all the resilient diabetics out there. Today I have something a little different. It's a daily blog of how I handled probably the most single difficult day of the year for most diabetics, the Super Bowl. Overeating carbohydrates as diabetics will always be a concern. The adage, how much carbs should a diabetic eat? On that day, it gets kind of thrown out the window. So the basis of today's video is, what did I eat? What were my blood sugars? And no, they weren't very good. But more importantly, how did I respond to those numbers to minimize the damage? So if you're new, welcome. This is where we turn ordinary struggling diabetics into extraordinarily well-controlled diabetics. If you don't know who I am, my name is Sampat, and I am an insulin-dependent diabetic diagnosed a little over 5 years ago, a proud owner of a broken pancreas, as you now know. So not only am I diabetic like you, where we will walk the walk and talk the talk together, but I do also have a University of Bachelor of Science degree in nutrition dietetics, and that comes in very handy in helping discuss all the intricacies of being a diabetic. Now, if you like what you see today and hear today, I would highly suggest you hit that subscribe button, the like button, and then that gray bell you'll see floating on the right side of your screen. That'll let you know when the next episode will be released, and you don't want to miss those. So what is so special about the Super Bowl? The Super Bowl, as we all know, will not give the diabetic a great deal of choices of what to eat. Unlike the two videos I've put out, I put out a video on a buffet, how you and I could go into a buffet and utilize the tricks presented so that you can walk out without doing a lot of damage. I also did a video on Thanksgiving. I will put both videos in a link form down at the bottom of the description page. Please click them, and I'll also create two boxes at the very end of the video for you to click, so it'll take you directly to those two videos too. But what's different about Super Bowl from those two videos is, at least on Thanksgiving and buffets, you're going to have some choices. Some lean protein choices, some vegetable choices to eat. Whereas a Super Bowl, it's basically just fat and carbs. And for us diabetics, it is a very difficult day to manage because the unknowns in terms of how the body's going to respond are going to be very unique on this one day. How did it work out for me? Well, I had some good news. We were just planning on having a small little family get together here at my house just to watch the game. And because of that, I knew exactly what I was going to eat. And it was actually going to be a very normal day for me. Sundays usually begin by me heading off to work for a little bit. I head to the gym and I get to train legs. When I train legs, I get to eat a little more. And it just so happens that I train legs on Sundays, which happens to be Super Bowl Sunday. But this Sunday, I didn't really want to eat any junk food, and we're just here with a family. So I decided to treat myself to some dessert, kind of a post-workout dessert. So I did my homework. I went to the grocery store on Saturday, and I ended up buying some sugar-free Jell-O. I was looking for some puddings, but they weren't quite sugar-free, but I took what was available, and an ice cream called Halo, which I hadn't tried. And that was going to be my treat for Super Bowl Sunday. Well controlled, and I knew, based on my experience, how much insulin I would need on just those little desserts. So after I got done shopping, and my mom called and she says, "Jay, we're coming home to watch the game and we're bringing some pizza." And that threw everything into a tailspin for me, because now my mind started going a million miles per hour. And if you're diabetic, you know exactly what I felt. How am I going to deal with pizza? How much insulin am I going to need? What kind of pizza is it? Is it deep dish? Is it thin crust? When will I get to eat it? Because as a diabetic, we all know that foods like pizza, which are just basically carbs and fats, can affect us for not just a few hours, but as an insulin-dependent diabetic such as myself, it can affect me for 24 hours because of the amount of fat in that pizza. So now I was thinking, okay, when I get home, if the pizza's still there, will I eat the pizza? Will I not eat pizza? Will I eat the pizza in concert with the dessert I've just bought? So that sets up a dynamic that most are not aware of, that us diabetics have to now deal with. Can I just walk by that pizza and not eat it? You and I both know that's very, very difficult to do. Just the smell alone of that pizza would drive most crazy. And it does for me too, because we are all human. So by late afternoon, the pizza had arrived and I had my meal, my post-workout meal, started to enjoy the game, and I had my dessert, which was really, really good. And at first, I passed on the pizza. There were just a couple slices left, and I just let them sit there for a while. But closer to the end of the game, I gave in. So I had a couple slices of pizza, actually a slice and a half to be exact, and a little bit of trail mix my wife had brought home as a crunchy sweet snack. So I didn't quite make any adjustments to my insulin because I didn't have a lot, but I knew it would still affect my blood sugar levels. And before I went to bed, I did test my blood glucose levels, and they were around 160, a little further out than I would like. Now, what happened as a result of that? And remember, I didn't have much, but also too, my body doesn't produce any insulin. So I knew it was going to climb during the night because of the amount of fat in that pizza. My reading post Superbowl Sunday in the morning at around 4 to 5 a.m., as you can see, was 224. That's not good. Now, by 8 a.m., it was back down to 70, as you can see. What did I do, and what were my procedures to move it down and move it down quickly? With the help of your doctor, you can specifically tailor, you can go about bringing your blood sugars down and quickly. And no, water is not the answer, especially for me. So what I do is specific to me and my diabetes. I always do cardio first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. That's always been my routine. But in this scenario with it being so high, I will also take just a wee little bit of insulin too. How much? About an IU, 1.5 IU of insulin plus the cardio. The difficult part was measuring out 1.5 IUs of insulin on the syringe. So it's a really small amount, but it's enough to drive all that glucose back into my muscles while I do cardio. And that does work out very, very, very well for me. I'll post one more reading for you, which is a typical morning for me, which was Tuesday, yesterday. As you can see, it was 87, and that's not too bad for me. Usually, my ranges are between 90 and 110 when I wake up in the mornings. So I was happy that things were back to normal, even after a small amount of pizza and a small amount of trail mix. That's how much damage not having full control over what I eat can do. I'll tell you first and foremost, you're not alone. It is part and parcel of being a diabetic is adapting and reacting to the food that we have in front of us. And it is difficult. If you found this episode helpful, please hit those alerts, that gray bell on top of the screen, the subscribe button, and if you like this episode, that like button. Have a great and productive day, and we'll see you soon with another new episode that's always released weekly.